Alright guys, that's Scrappy here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far, and it seems Rostermania is already brewing here in Dallas. The tournament is just over. Nassim reckons that multiple teams have already blown it up at the bar over these last couple of days, including, according to the key rumour of last night, the Los Angeles Thieves. They looked good in the run-up to this tournament in many respects. Improvement online as far as we understand. Certainly we saw that in the matches, and it seems the practice was going the same way, but after a disastrous 0-6 result on the Saturday, arguably something had to change, and according to rumours, Kenny is gone and they're pulling the trigger on this Neum option, as we shall discuss. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Apologies for the video being slightly later than usual. Let's just say it was kind of heavy night last night. Thieves ran an after party and there was an open bar, so you know, it is what it is. These guys are the champions though. I didn't see Neptune there last night, but I think all the other Gentlemates boys are pretty much there. You know, they've got a big staff behind the scenes as well. You guys can see their coaches on the left-hand side here. Okay, there's a question. Do they really need 3 coaches? That is an argument, but they won, so it is what it is. I do know that Mayhem, I mean, like, all these guys deserve their credit, Cheek, VOs, and of course Mayhem, but I do know that Mayhem is very highly rated by a lot of pros. Like, they think, because a lot of pros, they don't really rate coaches like that, you know what I mean? Like, they probably think that they could do it themselves, right? There's a little bit of that still. Maybe, I don't know if that changes generationally on the different, like, eras of players. But I know that Mayhem is rated very highly by a number of players. So that was clearly that there's something in that. And also, Via deserves credit because he put this team together, right? Well, at least to an extent. It was pretty clear, I think, what team they needed to put together, given the players that were available, and the fact that Neptune was probably trying to go to a team like Thieves or FaZe or whatever. Should FaZe have got him? I mean, it was a storyline before the season began that FaZe, should they have got Neptune or 04? They went for 04, it seems deliberately, rather than signing Neptune. And well, Neptune just popped a 1v3, 1v2 takeover to knock them out of the tournament in an incredible comeback. That was Neptune's first championship, I would imagine first of quite a few. I rated Neptune quite strongly really back in Cold War. You guys remember we played for the Florida Mutineers at the time, and he obviously the next year was on subliners and it was a bit of a disaster, and then he was a bit of a journeyman really. He had a couple of teams over the next couple of years and was okay, but I think in Cold War you even got a bit of a glimpse of, okay, this kid's clearly got an awful lot of talent, but he was never quite able to show that on a great team and really on the server consistently. This year, however, and even last year, of course, that has now changed. There was a lot of talk about the spots that Neptune was putting out. Drazah says Nep's got a spot and every map got a tippet. There will be a conversation, I think, had at least to an extent. What could change here? Do they need to change anything when it comes to these spots that we're seeing these guys pull out? Or is it perfectly fair game? That's a debate I think that will be had very shortly. I mean, for example, this spot that he pulled out on the Scar, there was spots he was pulling out on pretty much all the other maps as well. And look, will the pros GA them? That's an option, maybe. Will the league decide, okay, this is banned, this is allowed? I think that's the issue. It's very difficult for the league to have like a blanket rule on like, okay, all these jump spots are banned. It's like, well, is that really a good rule? Probably not. So, and I also think that to an extent, I quite like this stuff in the game. I think it's quite good to have pros playing around and finding ideas. What I didn't like was the wall bangs a couple of years ago, Modern Warfare 3 especially, when, you know, HyDra New York that year, they came up with all sorts of wall bang spots, and it's like, well, I mean, come on, right? You're shooting through what should be a solid brick wall, and you're killing the guy planting the bomb with absolutely no hindrances at all. That's a bit cheese. This is also cheese, but it's also kind of part of the game. So I think there's a debate to be had on what the league should do about this, if anything. Maybe you just let it go. You let the pros figure it out themselves. That might be an option, but they might, otherwise they're going to have like specific rules and say, okay, this Kismet spot is banned, but this Neptune spot is allowed, or whatever the case might be. Neptune wins MVP at the tournament. I mean, there is really no doubt about that. Of course, his numbers were good, but like the fact that he literally dragged them kicking and screaming over the line into the grand finals against FaZe, and then they went on to win it, that was unbelievable, right? I mean, FaZe had 4 chances to knock these boys out of the tournament, but they came back to win anyway. Just remarkable. Gentlemates, they do comment on the trophy. Now, I don't know exactly what the plan with the trophy here was. I understand that this event in general, there were some issues and delays. I don't think we really saw it at the venue. I think the guys that ran this event did a phenomenal job. I liked the setup. I liked the venue. I don't think it was the intention. I think ideally they would have done this up in Allen again at that great venue we've had before. There was even a couple of other options that were probably higher on the priority list. But there were some issues as well, given the weather, getting everything there on time and all this. But of course, you might think, okay, getting a big trophy in for the Sunday. Apparently it's a thing that Gentlemates, they like winning ugly trophies or something. So yes, here is another one. Probably not the most spectacular trophy we have seen. Gentlemates are even cooking it, so which I thought was pretty funny. And people were comparing some of the trophies that OpTic have won to what OpTic gave out this tournament. Of course, they nearly won it. And like at the end of the day, is it the biggest deal? No, it's about who actually won the tournament. But there was a bit of talk that maybe they could have come up with a more spectacular trophy or something like that. Obviously, a tough result for OpTic. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later on today as well. But even Karma says, GG's Gentlemates, well played. See y'all in the UK. So the next tournament is in Birmingham, not Alabama, but here in the UK. I'm still in Dallas for now, obviously, but we're back in the UK the next couple of days. And yes, that's the next event. There are, in the run-up to this tournament, 11 qualifying matches, if you guys are unfamiliar, because of when DreamHack is scheduled. It's frustrating in that we've just had a fantastic LAN tournament. Those that attended, I'm sure you had a fantastic time. Instead of it being 4 or 5 weeks until the next LAN like it used to be, it is instead basically 8 weeks. It's 7-8 weeks. It's right at the end of March when the next LAN is in Birmingham. So a lot of time for these teams to think about things. A lot of time, frankly, to play online COD. Ravens are going to be loving it. I had a quick word with Nero last night, and he said, we might just go 11-0 in the qualifiers. So, let's see how that goes on. But the talk is about the roster going forward, and, well, not just the roster on Thieves, but also rosters on other teams. Dawn said the other day, bit concerned about the situation with Kenny. It's tough, right? Because Kenny definitely improved in the recent online stint. Spoke with a couple of the guys on Thieves and other teams, and they were like, yeah, definitely there was a big improvement out of Thieves in the last 2 weeks of scrims, pretty much. But they turn up to the LAN and they beat Ravens, but it's like, well, those guys are online as we just saw it. And, okay, maybe they'll prove us wrong with the next major, but you know what I'm saying. And then they get bombed out of the tournament on the Saturday, and it's such a demoralizing way to lose. Like, the way that Toronto lost was demoralizing. They got 3-2'd by Miami in a matchup against their ops that they really shouldn't have lost. But equally, that's probably not as bad as getting 3-0'd by two top teams on the Saturday, right? Like, not even putting up a fight against both Gentlemates. Okay, they won the tournament and FaZe. That is just unacceptable. There was just one quick thing I'll share. I thought this tweet was going to get deleted. And there's no real reason to delete it, but I just thought some people were going to be like, oh, well, Linda's leaking DMs, which he was. But clearly, Neptune DM'd him on the 5th of July, 2024, and said, yo, what's Rocker doing? Have they figured it out for next year? If you want a sub-player that's going to shoot the gun and play at a fast pace, bang my line, brother. It's a tryout COD. And he said mistakes were made not picking this cat up. So this is the other thing, right? We understand that Neptune was doing a little bit of this maneuvering when he was trying to join a different team last season. He knew that Surge were cooked. He knew that roster was going to blow it up. So he was DMing, presumably, some of the guys on Thieves and FaZe. And there was a bit of talk even going into this season that, oh, Neptune, this guy, he's doing the formal, like he's playing the game. He's, messaging other players. He's not really a good teammate or, whatever was the argument. So we don't want to sign him. It's like, okay, great decision, buddy. He's out on Gentlemates and looks like, is he the best sub in the game? Probably. I mean, look, they just won the event. You have to say it. I would maybe give Mercules the nod, like, overall as a player in the game right now. And to be fair, Neptune did have a 0.7 against OpTic in the women's finals. But when it got to the grand finals, and even to get to the grand finals, of course, it was a very different story. But Thieves bombed out bad. Kenny ends up with a 0.6 in the losers bracket here against FaZe. Just, disastrous overall series, and his overall day was just terrible. And the thing is, for Thieves, if they are going to make a move, it was pretty obvious what that move was going to be. But it's not just about Thieves, right? Gentlemates are topping the standings. If I look at just the major one standings here, even just season overall, this gives you a good example. Paris, OpTic, FaZe, G2, Thieves down in 5th. But there are some pretty bad teams out there, right? Cloud9, I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they're going to do something, right? There's definitely some other teams out there that should be doing some things as well, that is for sure. Toronto's an interesting one, whether they think their roster still has legs. And also, you know, they paid some money to get ReeaL onto their team. He's played some awful stuff recently. He's a much better player than he showed lately. But there's also some questions there. I do wonder, like, in a hypothetical world where Toronto say, maybe not now, but in the future, you know what, ReeaL, you know, we made a mistake here. We're going to go a different direction. Do Miami get back on the phone and say, yo, that verbal agreement, do you want to run it back? Or is the beef there, after all that drama, such that they think, oh, we're definitely not getting rid of Lurqxx again? It's just an option, right? Because if hypothetically that were to happen, I generally have no intel on this front, but I'm just thinking, like, if ReeaL's available and Miami are like, well, we're pretty good with ReeaL last year, there's something to say about that. But look, we've got a couple of clips to share because Scrap says, nothing much to say. GG's everyone. Back in action for Major 2. aBeZy says multiple teams already, you know, they're not just thinking about it. They weren't just at the bar last night talking about it. It was already happened, right? They were at the bar Friday night. They were at the bar Saturday night, whatever, talking about some of these changes. And then we get the big bombshell tweet. So Ghost of Hope says LAT Neum is 99.99, which is strong. I mean, back in the day when it was Ronnie was reporting on HyDra to OpTic, and he said that it was a 95% done deal, which, to be fair, it basically was. And then they obviously scum pulled the trigger and decided to run back the roster again. But 99.99 is pretty solid. Now, look, do we trust Ghost of Hope? That's a question. But we do know for a fact, Zinni revealed it, that their team came to an agreement with the Los Angeles Thieves that Neum would be available. I think my understanding is it was a week, right, after this tournament. They had a week as an option. And I mentioned it at the time that it's like, when you've paid money to Huntsman to effectively buy that option, it's kind of difficult not to take it, especially if the tournament concludes in the way that it has. So it looks like they might be pulling the trigger on this one. That's been the heavy implication out of, well, aBeZy for sure, I guess, but also, you know, Ghost of Hope, and they were talking about it on the flank as well last night. So, like, what's next for Kenny? If this happens, is it the right move for Thieves to pull the trigger? Egg says they should have done this a long time ago.
Leak in the middle, yeah.
Okay.
Leak some shit right now. I mean, bro, there's already teams making changes.
They're at the bar right now.
I mean, it's already happening.
Drink in hand.
Like, it's not like they're thinking about it. Like, it's done.
Talking about who costed.
So, can I turn off delay? We're doing a show. Quick reactions. Ghost of Hope tweeted, LA Thieves Neum is 99% done. I know the Thieves guys probably don't want to comment, but any quick thoughts? If anyone wants to speak up.
I mean, I was... that should have happened a month ago. What, like, bro, listen, and this goes to every CDL team, bro. Stop waiting to go to LAN to get shit on when you're already shit online, bro. Just fucking make the change, and so when you go to where it matters, you have the most opportunity for success, bro. This should have happened a month ago. I'm not impressed by it. It should have happened previously. So that's all I got to say, bro.
You motherfuckers need to put some respect on Kenny. I mean... I don't know if we're making a team change. We're going to go back to the drawing board, figure it out. We're going to talk to everybody, try to figure it out. But the disrespect that Kenny has received in his last year or two is honestly unbelievable. And I don't even have a close relationship with Kenny. I don't. Him and I are very different people. We don't talk very often, but what Kenny has done for the 100 Thieves and LA Thieves organization, you guys say whatever you want about the season he had with OpTic. It's a lot easier to say these things after Mercules shows up out of Challengers and turns their entire season around. But Kenny has had a legacy that will never be forgotten in the competitive Call of Duty history, bro. And you guys certainly have short-term memory loss or long-term memory loss. I don't know what it is, but that guy Kenny has done unbelievable things for this Call of Duty legacy for 100 Thieves and LA Thieves, and that will never be forgotten. So you guys say whatever the you want, but I got a lot of love for what he's done for this team. Tough Saturday for him. Tough Saturday for the entire team, but we'll see, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the roster. I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the year, but we'll try to figure it out.
So I think it will become increasingly clear in the next couple of days what to expect here. Are Thieves really gonna go for this? And like the way the tournament concluded, if they'd lost 3-2 both series, and Kenny had a 0.9, it's probably a different conversation. But losing in that manner, yeah, it's just one horrific day of COD for those guys and for Kenny. But also, can you afford that, really? That's a good question. So tweet your thoughts as ever on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.